everybody all set, Wes?
Sorry by yourself over there.
All set over there? Okay. All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021, meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission. We have an order of business that starts with some continued business. We issued an enforcement order sometime back in the fall, I think, to Douglas Quist, 1345 Lawrence Street. And it involved tree cutting and storing of the debris in, in a wetland area or a resource area close to a wetland in the 100-foot buffer zone. Mr. Quist, is that you here tonight?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, the technology is beyond me already, so. Okay, Mr. Quist, can you tell us what the status is out there right now and the reason for your request?
I removed, I removed all the logs and the stumps that were back there. I believe the area is now clear of all the stored material that was back there. So unless there's anything else that needs to be done, I would like to request that we close out the enforcement order.
Okay, so from what I recall, some of the material was fairly well rotted and wasn't even able to be moved. So I'm glad to hear that you've pulled what you could out of there. I appreciate you showing some effort in that regard. Let me open it up to the commission. I'm not sure who was here. Bill, I know you were here last. Yeah, you were here, Kevin. Anybody got some comments or questions?
Yeah, I just want to say that I saw the pictures and I think it looks great. You did a good job removing everything.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I see people nodding. I don't have any further questions. I know, it's a pretty wild area back there, and it was hard to get in, and I know it's not been an easy task to get, what you could out of there. So I would be in favor of entertaining a motion to lift the enforcement order at this point.
I can make a motion to lift the enforcement order.
Okay, motion made by Brad to lift the enforcement order, seconded by
I'll second that motion.
Kevin. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The ayes have it, and thank you, Mr. Quist. The enforcement order is lifted, and I'm not sure what kind of paperwork that involves, but the office will be in touch with you, I think.
Okay,
Fairly soon.
thank you.
Okay, thanks for zooming in, and have a good evening.
You as well. Bye.
Thank you. Now we're going to start in with our new business. The first one is a request for determination of applicability sent in by Janine Dufresne, 46 Lexington Avenue. And this involves a repaving project of the driveway and an extension of the driveway in the course of repaving. So, Mr. or Mrs. Dufresne, would you like to explain your project to us? Would you come up to the microphone and state your name, please?
Hi, I have an old existing driveway that's really really falling apart. All the hot top is breaking up, so when we try to shovel it or use a snow blower, it's flinging out the hot top. So I really need to have that changed, I really do. And while I was going to have it repaved, if you give me the permission to do that, I'd like to be able to extend it. So like, it's just makes it better to park, so we're not like stepping out in the mud when the snow melts and stuff like that. So basically, that's really all I'm looking for, is just to be able to repave it and then extend it.
Okay, so it looks like it's one car wide at the moment, and you're trying most of the time to park side by
Right,
side
and-
with two.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have 3 vehicles there, so most of the time, the third vehicle is always on the side. And over the years, like I said, the hot top is actually broken away where the driveway, the pavement that's still there is actually smaller than what it was originally.
Right. Have you ever considered going back to gravel or something like that, that's a little porous for your
Right. Can't do it with the snow blower.
floodplain area?
No, I can't, and the thing is, he's broken his back in 3 places when he was younger, so he really needs to use the snow blower, and we try to shovel. I know we have to shovel because like lots of times, like I say, try to pick up some of that hot top. We just don't want to hurt anybody, so it's better for him if I can widen it and make it smoother. That's basically the reason why.
Okay, so it seems a fairly, it's like adding 1 lane to your driveway. And how long would you say that driveway is? About 30 feet, maybe?
I'm not sure how long the driveway is. I know it's 12. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because probably about, yeah, I'm not really sure.
Okay, well, what we're usually concerned about in areas like that is additional fill in the floodplain, and that can be just in the course of putting hot top on top of what's already there. In other words, you raise the elevation, and that takes up space in what we're probably both familiar with as a floodplain area. We have approved paving projects that kept the same elevation in areas like that. In other words, did you plan to take the old pavement out before you put the new in?
It has to, because we got all these frost heaves that got big holes, in the driveway. Like I said, I've been there 36 years, so this driveway's been there when I bought the house.
Okay, so I'm going to let some of the construction people here ask you more questions about that, but if you're taking that out, you have a chance to lower it enough so that the new pavement would be the same level and not higher than your old pavement. And that's what I'm thinking would be advantageous in this situation. But I'll let some of these guys that do construction work ask some questions.
So, the assumption would be that you're gonna remove some of the subgrade out from the areas that you're looking to add pavement? Maybe freshen up some of that subgrade underneath the existing?
It's gonna have to, because it's just all full of gullies, and it's all it frosts during the winter, it raises, and then it just drops. We've got holes that are
Yeah.
that deep.
If you're regrading and there's any, a little bit of elevation you can take out to make up for the raise, slight raise of the grades on the outside, it's minimal here. Existing match existing is fine with me.
Yeah, I don't believe it would be any different than what it is. We're not looking to raise it up any higher.
Great.
Just trying to get it so it's level and smooth. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it's not usable the way it is.
Understood. Thank you.
So, from my experience, blacktop usually have like about a 2-inch base layer and then like an inch or a 2-inch top coat later. So I think we're talking maybe about 3 or 4 inches thickness at most in that area. You'd be taking it out and then replacing it with 3 or 4 inches of thickness. Is that about right?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he had said.
I have a
know-
proposal from the D&D paving company, because it says here, just remove existing asphalt and dispose, remove grass and loam in the area, expand and dispose. It says install, I don't know if you have a copy of this, install gravel base to achieve proper grade and water management, fine grade and compact gravel, gravel, install 1.5 inches of state binder,
Yeah,
coarse asphalt and compact, install 1.5 inches of state top coarse asphalt and compact. And it says apply tack and sand to joint at road.
yeah, so we're talking 3 to 4 inches, basically, if you add in that base layer before you do the asphalt. So to Commissioner Varnum's point, as long as the elevation remains the same, you know, you scrape out enough so that you're not, when you're done, you're not any higher up in elevation, I think it's a non-issue for the commission.
Anyone else? We have had projects that are bigger than just a single driveway, where they actually set stakes to mark the elevation that they want to end up with, so that it doesn't just automatically kind of rise up on you. And I think paving companies know how to do that.
It might be a good idea to ask them to stake, you know, the finished grades before they rip up the asphalt at the edges. So that way they can just, you know, drive a stake in at that 6 feet out, make a line right to match existing,
Okay.
right?
So it's fairly flat there, and you do come in right off the street. There's no uphill, right?
No,
It's just flat.
over those
So I
bumps,
think it, you know,
It's definitely down.
yeah,
Because
it sits low at- right, yeah.
It's
Right.
sunk in a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's since
They redid
yeah, resurfaced the road a
they
few years
resurfaced
ago,
the
and it
road,
really,
and it-
really did a number.
We sit with water
Yeah.
at the end of the driveway for a week.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
okay, so, you know, I think we can write, we could probably write that in on our RDA, and from what I've heard, it sounds like we're thinking a -3, but we want to be sure of the elevation, so perhaps put a condition in there that the final grades will be the same as the existing grades. And I know the lawn part drops off a little bit, but, you know, overall, it should be, you know, essentially the same grade once you're done.
I can make a
I
motion to
haven't
grant
heard-
it. Oh. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I can make a motion to grant a -3 determination with a single condition that the final grades, top of pavement, match existing with a continuation as assumed of the existing pavement layer.
Okay, motion made to that effect.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Bill. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, and good luck with your project.
Okay, so now how do I go and just tell the paving company that I have the approval and I can come back and get the permit? Is that how that works? I'm not really sure, because, like I said, I've never done this before, so, I mean, if you're approving it, so now I can let him know that we can come back and get the permit?
I don't know, Fran,
I've never done this, so,
Yeah, so we'll send you
Oh.
the -3 determination, which is essentially the permit.
okay.
And then you'd provide that to, did you already apply for a paving permit upstairs?
He did, this is what his permit was, and they handed him that WPA one form, whatever, that I filled out. So this is basically, I don't think he paid for it, I don't think we got it, we had to get this done first.
Sure, so you'll submit the permit that we give you, the conservation permit, to the engineering department, and then they'll finish processing the driveway permit.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you very
okay.
much.
Thank you for coming in, and Fran you'll get the document to them. Yeah. Thank you. Good night. Next, we have another request for determination of applicability sent to us by Paul and Barbara Copley of 45 Megan Lane. This is a application to install an above-ground pool within the 100-foot buffer of the Merrimack River. It's barely, I think, within the 100-foot buffer. It is about 100 feet from the Merrimack. Is there anyone going to join us for this particular project?
We're here on the phone.
And Paul and Barbara Copley here on the phone.
Okay. We did have a drawing of what you expect. It's a rectangular pool rather than a round one, apparently.
Originally, that was our original one, but that pool has since been sold out. So we are now looking at an 18-foot round pool to replace that one,
Okay.
only because I find the other one.
All right. Does anyone have any questions
comment?
or comments on this?
So
Bill?
I seem to recall, this is the same property where you folks did a tree removal earlier in the year or late last year, correct?
Did.
We did have a tree removed a couple of days ago,
Yeah.
actually yesterday.
Just out of curiosity, is the pool footprint in the kind of the same location of where those trees were near the house?
Not, well, the trees were closer to the house than where the pool was going to be.
I got you. Okay. No, it's just, the address looked familiar, that's why I was asking the question.
Yeah,
But
I couldn't tell if that was the same address.
But, I see no issue with, granting a -3 determination for putting in an above-ground pool.
Is that a motion?
I'm making a comment, I want to see what other commission members have to say.
Okay. Comments or questions over there? Okay, we almost consider an above-ground pool sort of a temporary structure. So we're not as
Right.
concerned with them as we are with in-ground pools, even if they're, closer to the resource, so. What do you think?
We have been making a standard kind of disclaimer for, any draining of the pool, to make sure that it is treated on-site before it runs into the wetlands to the best extent possible. If there's any way that it could be, pumped out into a low area, that it could percolate into the ground prior to hitting the wetlands. Just the goal here is to make sure that the pool chemicals impact on the wetlands is minimal. We really don't want to be putting,
That wouldn't be a
treated water.
problem.
Yeah,
That's, if there's anything you can do, that's how to best protect those wetlands, so thank you for obliging.
yeah,
All right, that wouldn't be a problem.
yeah, probably that stuff would kill your grass anyway if you drained it right
Yeah.
on to of a -3, I believe, right, Brad? Was that a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant a -3
Okay, so
determination.
Leslie's making the motion for -3, seconded by,
I'll second it.
Bill, and further discussion or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Copley, and good luck with your pool.
All right, thank you. Now, do we have to wait to get confirmation from you people before we can apply for a building permit to put the pool in?
Yes, the office will send you out a document regarding, and did you want to put that sentence about the draining onto the document, Brad? Now that we voted for it, I guess we can add it without anyone.
And that's going to be for the 18-round pool, correct?
Yeah, we'll just call it an 18-foot pool, and we won't say what shape it is.
That would be
And then
great.
If the rectangular one comes back into stock, you can get your rectangular one.
That would be fine.
Okay, so did we want to add about the chemicals, that all care should be taken, that the chemicals don't...
I would just like to add
drain
that
into the Merrimack River?
all care should be taken
Correct.
with chemicals before the pool is drained.
Okay, and we still approve that? Nobody dissents now that we've added a sentence. So we're all set there, and thank you for joining us tonight. And,
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have
Have
a
a
good
good night.
evening. Okay, next we have a notice of intent submitted by Matthew LaLasher, 30, I believe it's 39 Perrin Way, not 30. And we do not have a DEP number, so what that means is we can't close our hearing tonight, but we can open it and hear your project. This is a construction project for a home addition of a two-car garage within the 100-foot buffer zone of vegetated wetlands, and relocating the driveway closer to the wetlands as well. Would you like to discuss the project for us?
Yes, for the record, I'm Michael Seecamp, Seecamp Environmental Consulting, and with me tonight is Mr. LaSure. And late last year, and we are proposing to build a two-car garage, as you mentioned, move the driveway slightly toward the wetland. The closest that the garage will be to the wetland is about approximately 73 feet. And connecting the garage to the house will be what they call a mudroom, what I'm sure you're all familiar with, just like a breezeway type of thing. And also, the applicant would like to have a couple of trees removed that pose a threat to the project. These trees are on an abutting property. Mr. LaSure has letters from the abutters giving permission to remove these trees, and we also have a letter from an arborist saying that they do pose a threat to the structure. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I did take a look at the wetland flags today, and it's probably a little damper in there after yesterday's rain than it has been for quite a while. I didn't have any real problems with the flagging, and I went in there because I was curious where you had done your plots, and I found those stakes as well.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
We have a tradition here, I don't know, I shouldn't call it a tradition, we have we basically don't approve much of anything within 50 feet of our resource areas. We like to call that a no disturb zone. So your project luckily is at least 50 feet in all points that are being disturbed, if I recall from the plan that I was looking at. It is also an area that's already lawn where the construction of the garage is going to be. So it's, it's not a disruption of any habitat or forest area. And the trees on the plan, I was told today, are the ones that they would like to take down. So most of them are on abutting properties, and apparently you have permission from all but the property owner that's kind of disappeared from everyone's life.
Yeah, I think that's defunct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want me.
What is it with those trees on the Friends of the Forest? Are they just large and maybe not in good shape, or?
They're large. All of them were deemed by the arborist to potentially be a falling hazard onto the property, all the different trees that we're looking at. And so I went to each of the additional abutters to make sure they were okay with me cutting on their land. I've recently provided letters from those abutters. They're comfortable with those being removed. Some of them are severely rotted, and pieces and branches fall every winter. And so that was kind of the reasoning of why we wanted to try and clear them, to make sure nothing happened to the new property or the new addition.
Okay, I did see some very large trees that had tipped over further into the wetland, maybe because the hydrology may have changed in there a bit since they were young. I was pleased with the distance from the resource area that the project will take. I was a little concerned at first about the driveway moving over, but then I realized that Mr. LaSure also told me that the tree line that is along the driveway won't need to be disturbed. It's only the large trees that are indicated on the plot plan itself that he would like permission to take down. I'm not sure how the permission, I guess if he gets permission from the property owner, we can give permission to an adjoining property. I'm not quite sure how that works, but if it's out of the resource area, it's, you know, between perhaps you and your neighbors, how you proceed with that. So we did get an email from Fran late today or midday about the stormwater report, right? That the infiltration oh, okay, sorry, Dylan, it was you. The infiltration trenches aren't going to be required, but I guess if you wanted to build them, you could. Is that the gist of it?
The stormwater team just said that for this type of project, they don't require it. They say in general they support them though.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd like to have that option, but if it's okay with the commission, if Mr. LaSure decides not to install one or the other, one is proposed for the drip edge of the mudroom, and the other is along the side of the driveway, which is on the side that is closest to the wetland. But if he decides not to do either one, we'd like to have that option as well.
Okay. Well, we were recommended. The only thing I would be concerned about along the driveway is perhaps salt running down into the wetland area if there weren't an infiltration area along there. I don't know if you salt your driveway or if...
Yeah, it's not a tradition for me to salt the driveway. It eats away at the wood and all the other things that come into the house, so my wife doesn't allow me to do that. So that's normally not what we do. If so, it's environmentally friendly, or dog friendly as well, because we have a dog.
Yeah, not good for the little paws.
Exactly. So it's not common, and I think it would be our intention to put the infiltration trench there anyways. If it's not required, then I'll discuss that with the builder when the time comes. But I think it would be our intention. The driveway, as you say, is meant to move very slightly and only up towards the top of the driveway to then meet up with the new garage. The entryway and drive-in area isn't meant to move much, if at all.
Okay, so
I don't want to consider
we'll
giving
have
relief.
to discuss about that.
I don't want to consider giving relief off that drip edge along the driveway. There's, runoff from cars, stuff, anything can be carried onto that driveway. At the back of the building, I would forgive that one.
Yeah, it's a very open area. I don't know, he has at least 4 acres off to that side of his house that's undeveloped. The Friends of the Forest own that. So, it's not like there isn't any place to infiltrate. There was one other thing on the plan that I did notice, and that was hay bales. We're usually recommending straw wattles rather than hay bales, especially in...
I think that would be preferable myself.
Yeah.
The engineer put the hay bales on. I didn't question it, but if that's okay with the commission, we would actually prefer the straw wattles.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I recall at the moment. Who's got some other questions or comments for the...
I got just a comment. With respect to the infiltration trench, I just think it's a better practice, I guess I can go either way on whether required or not, but I do think it's a better practice, particularly, if you're trying to promote infiltration off a sheet flow of a driveway, versus having runoff, and you might even, avoid any mounding upon puddling of water outside the area. So I would think it's a better practice, and I don't think they're expensive either, so.
I have no objection at that.
Yeah. Other than that, reading the stormwater, the comments, it looks like no one has any issues with sheet flow going towards the wetland, which is a great thing. And the only other question I had is, how many trees are we talking about being removed?
There are 9 trees in total. Some of them are actually not inside the 100-foot.
Right.
They are on the plan.
Okay.
I believe there's only 5 that are inside the 100-foot area, and then there are 4 more that are further upland away from the 100-foot area.
Does it make sense to maybe replace a couple of them? I'm just asking. I didn't have the opportunity to see the site, but I'm just, as a goal, what we like to do is have kind of minimize the net loss in trees because of what the benefit they provide in terms of, canopy coverage, and just soaking up rainwater and things of that nature. But I guess I was just curious if you'd be open to maybe, if it made sense in a couple of those areas, to maybe just replace, if you're losing 9 trees, maybe 3 or 4, native trees in the area, if it makes sense.
Yeah, the reason we purchased in that area is because we were against the tree farm and against the forest, so I have no issue with trying to keep the
Okay.
forestry. Yeah.
Thanks.
I'd just like to say, I like the plan overall and the infiltration trench and everything. I don't think we can vote on this tonight because there's no DEP number anyways, but I would just maybe continue the hay bales up along the entirety of the driveway that's going to be regraded or replaced. Just to keep, where they are is awesome on the plan, but I think maybe keep them up along the whole driveway.
Full length.
Yeah, the full length would be good. There's just potential for water to run off.
Stop there and bring them down to here. Yeah, that'd be.
Because that driveway is being removed and replaced, right?
Sure, yeah, it would be disturbing.
No, it's great. Otherwise, I mean, this is a great plan, and looks like a lot of attention to detail for this project, too, so.
Okay. Anyone else? We can take comments from the public on this tonight, even though we can't close the hearing. If there's anyone from the public that would like to ask questions or make comments on this notice of intent, once again, it's 39 Perron Way. Can you tell if anyone's on the phone lines now? Okay. All right, so as we said earlier, this is lacking a file number from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, which is a necessary part of the application. So what we need to do is continue this until the next meeting, and hopefully by then we will have the file number, and if there are any additions that we want to this plan, or if there are any further questions, or if anyone from the public wants to call in and ask questions next time this comes before us, which will be the 14th of July, I believe, is our next meeting. We will have an opportunity at that time as well. Does anyone have, besides what we've mentioned as far as wattles along the entire driveway, infiltration trench, yes, no, maybe you can decide before the next time whether you'd like to leave that on the plan or remove it, or tell us. You don't have to physically remove it from the plan if you don't want to.
Yeah, we'd like to leave the plan the way it is, and what we could do is we could just notify you when the erosion control is in place. Perhaps Mr. LaLashore could send a picture, and that way we wouldn't have to have the engineer do any more work on the drawing.
Sure.
Could we get a markup of placement of 4 native trees to be added to the plan? It can just be penciled onto the plan. And, yeah, I think that's, and maybe something written that says you'd extend the wattle line, unless we can just condition that.
Yeah,
either way.
We could put the trees and the extension of the wattles, and he could deliver it before the next meeting.
That'd be great, thank you.
Might I just ask along those lines, the extension that you're looking for, am I able to keep that along the area that's the property line as opposed to along the driveway line? Because the beginning of that driveway will not be disturbed, it's just toward the end. So I'm happy to ring kind of that.
Right, anywhere that's just going to be adjacent to the disturbance.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Anywhere, kind of just follow the natural flow of the land.
Typically, just, make sure you give yourself at least 3 feet to dig that trench.
Yeah, there's enough room on that side to be able.
Plenty. Cool.
I would like to say that he's got a very nice line of natural trees along the driveway side there that are not going to be disturbed. They kind of bow into, you can see the tree line on the plan. they kind of bow in. There's a very nice variety there, birches and maples and oaks and things that I would almost be hard pressed to know where to put replacement trees on that property. There are trees at the front of the property along the street that apparently maybe the original contractor put in. And, you know, I myself am drowning in trees at my place. And if you see a place for a tree, certainly, you know, we like to have replacements. Maybe you can replace it on your neighbor's property almost.
I will do the best I can.
Okay, so we're at the point where we will have a motion.
So I'll offer a motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
This hearing to the July 14th meeting, assuming we have a Mass DEP file number by then. If not, we'll continue it to the next meeting. Hopefully you'll have it by then. I'm sure you're anxious to get this project done, right?
I'll keep bugging Jim.
Okay, motion to continue to the July 14th meeting. Made by Bill, second by Brad. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. And I guess we'll be seeing you again.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay, moving along, we have a request for a certificate of compliance, and I'm gonna have to check with Bill, but I know I signed this one back in 2012, this order of conditions. How about you, Bill? Did you sign it?
I looked at it, I didn't see my name in it. Maybe I missed that meeting, but
But-
I seem to remember this project. This is right at the front of the Boot Mill's entrance. Wasn't it a stormwater project, or was it?
Well, actually, the order only had 3 signatures on it, so it probably was totally not in effect the whole time.
Yeah.
I think we needed 4 most of the time.
I think Kevin and I were in a college class together that year.
Okay, so what we're discussing here is the Boot Mill Development LLC. They have an address in Boston. The DEP file number was 206-0689, and this is a project from 2012 at 130 John Street. And it was, you know, within that area of close enough to the river to require an order of conditions, but I believe most of the work was maybe interior
Yeah.
or maybe cleaning of bricks and things like that.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, that too, and I believe in that area, if I'm recalling the right project, there was one of the canalways that drained into the Merrimack, and they were, I don't know if it was part of the historic structure, and they might have been refurbishing it or something. What I didn't see in the email, you know, the request was the original, what was the scope of the original project, and, you know, what do they ask? You know, is there an as-built, and what's the certificate of
Right.
compliance asking for?
Yes, I had requested a narrative from the applicant that I forwarded over, but I don't believe that we received an as-built, so maybe the applicant can discuss the scope of work.
Is the applicant on the phone?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think it'd be premature to kind of approve an order of conditions without
Right.
confirming what the scope of work is and, you know, what the as-built is compared to what was
Exactly.
proposed.
Right.
That's actually one of the conditions that, I noticed that as well, that if there's no as-built possible as far as a plan, we sometimes take a statement, a signed statement from the engineer saying that everything was built as to expectations.
Is the applicant
Yeah.
present? Could you speak
Yeah.
to the scope of work, please?
Yes, hi, this is, my name is John Rudzinski.
Oh, welcome.
Hi, how are you? I'm representing Boot Mill Developer LLC. And the scope of work was this was one of the, it was a major rehabilitation project for the back left or northwest corner of the Boot Cotton Mills complex. We created 78 rental apartments as well as 40,000 square feet of commercial space, all indoors. Of course, one of the members is correct. We did masonry repair, roof work, all within the 100-foot zone, and that's why we got the order of conditions in the first place. But it was a $18 million rehab project, basically, which was completed in 2014. And I think we just unfortunately neglected to get this thing wrapped up and filed at that time, and we've now realized it.
Okay, so were you on the line when we were discussing the as-built situation?
Yes, we
Okay.
certainly. We do have as-built, which we could forward, and I'm afraid I don't know how they tie to what was originally submitted, because I don't have a copy of what was originally submitted, but it would have been, presumably would have been the site plan and all, and a description of the plans and everything. But yeah, we have as-built of everything that we could copy and send over.
Is that something that's in our files, Fran? Do you know? The original plan?
I can check. I have my computer here, so I will check.
Okay, unfortunately, our office is known to move frequently, and every time they move, everything gets disorganized again. So we're talking about something that's almost 10 years old now, that
Understood.
it would almost be a miracle.
I don't think there was much of a paper trail, to be honest, for this project. I think I looked to find.
Yeah, we used to have things organized by DEP number, but I don't know how you organize these days.
So to confirm, the scope of the project was basically the refurbishment of the existing mill building structure, and, the relevance to the commission was the work on the outside of, repointing brickwork, things of that nature, new windows, and making sure debris wasn't falling into the river, that type of thing.
Correct, and also I'm sure most of you are familiar with the complex. The lower courtyard, this project involves both the upper and lower courtyard. But in the lower courtyard to the left, if you went to the Riverwalk, to the west or left, we redid that courtyard as well. Now we basically restored it to it's all paved, but we redid that courtyard as well. So that was certainly outside the building, and that would have been part of the site plan, if you will. But that was the only true exterior work other than what you just said.
But it's basically within the footprint of the structure. I mean, obviously, that's a big structure.
Yeah, the courtyard is surrounded on three sides by the buildings.
You got the concert pavilion there, too.
Yes.
The order of conditions, was it a standard order of conditions with no special conditions?
I believe so, yes.
That's my impression too. I'm obviously not the.
I mean, my opinion is, if we're talking about, this is a different project from what I was thinking about, because I know there is a canalway project that was done later, and I think at that point too, there was a little bit of concern that there was some quote-unquote urban fill as defined by Mass DEP, and I think they were trying to address that too as part of the canal work around there. But this is different. So my take is that, if the work on the building structure is done, there's no special conditions for us to kind of verify in the order of conditions. I for one, would be willing to entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for this completed project.
Okay, motion's been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Harry, seconds. Discussion, I could go either way on this. It would seem that if in 9 years something should have happened, if it were going to, as far as something not coming out right or being, out of sync with the rest. Or I could go as far as asking for a statement from an engineer, perhaps not the same one that worked on it originally, that all appears to have been concluded successfully as far as the project was concerned.
Hearing Commissioner Varnum's proposal, I think I would prefer that too, in thinking it through, just to document the paper trail, since it's pretty thin right now. And I don't think that would be something that would be difficult for the applicant to obtain, just a certified statement that, you know, work was done in accordance with the plans, and it's in their professional opinion that, you know, the work is complete and meets the requirements, and the requirements of the order of conditions were met, and I think that would give us a comfort level to issue a certificate of compliance.
So, does anyone else want to comment on this situation at the moment? And perhaps Bill would like to amend his motion.
I will amend my motion to as follows. I'm willing to offer a motion to issue a certificate of compliance to the applicants upon the receipt of an engineer's certified statement that the work as completed, you know, is consistent with the proposed plan and meets the order of conditions.
Okay, so let's have a vote on the let's have a...
I'll second that.
Okay, Wesley seconds it. Let's have a vote on the amended motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all in favor, and I think that overwhelms the original motion, because you can't vote for both. So we're all in favor of the amended motion, and it passes unanimously. So, Mr. Radzinski, we will be waiting for a statement of some sort from you, and at that point, we've already taken the vote to issue the certificate once that statement is received.
Okay, understood. Thank you. That seems reasonable.
All right, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Moving on, we have a request for a determination of applicability sent in by Timothy and Valerie Higgins from 148 Corey Street, and they're seeking to expand their driveway, and they are within a 100-foot buffer of bordering vegetated wetlands. At first, I thought it was Black Brook, but it appears to be more of a situation. It's a ponding area. Perhaps people are more familiar with it from looking at it from Technology Drive. There's a huge sort of a pond area if you drive in there. And apparently this is on the other side of that. I'm not sure if there's a connection of some sort with Black Brook. I suspect there might be, but it's not actually Black Brook as far as I know. I did go out there. Are the Higgins, or anyone here from this property?
We're here via Zoom.
Okay, great. I did drive out there, and I did notice that seems to be a huge depression there, like a dugout area. What is that, and is that the spot where you want to expand the driveway?
We actually wouldn't be expanding out into that entire area. We're actually, if you saw where the stones were next to the driveway, we're just looking to kind of extend it to that area. We had purchased this section of land at the end of last year, and there were some dead trees which had fallen and broken our fence. We had our fence taken down, and we just had those trees removed, and that was just the cleanup that they did when they removed the trees.
Okay, now when you said you purchased the property last year, are you talking about 148 Corey Street?
No, I'm just talking about that small strip where we're looking to expand onto.
Okay,
We did not previously own that stretch of property, which is why we'd never looked into doing this before.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering about next, was that it did appear that from the city GIS that your driveway is already overpassing the property line right there. But you have purchased from the people on Cashin Street, you've purchased an area there to expand?
Yes, from Steve Kenaway, yes.
Okay, that's a good idea. It's so far away from their home, they probably won't even know you're there. Okay, so that was a concern of mine, that you were trying to expand onto, off of your property.
No,
Now, you know, this is the same situation that we had a case earlier. I don't know if you were listening to the meeting earlier on. about
yes, we were.
People that were repaving in a, near a resource area. And we like to limit the amount of fill. In fact, we're required to limit the amount of fill in floodplain and resource areas.
Yeah.
And what we would want to see, you have part of that property paved now. Were you removing that pavement?
No, the intention was to resurface that with 1.5 inches of new topping, and that would be the new level of the driveway.
Okay, I'm gonna let one of the construction
Louisa,
guys
I was
here
just,
talk about this. Brad, would you like to?
I just want to clarify
investigate
that this
this
is
driveway?
not in the, I just want to clarify, this is not in the floodplain, it's rather in the 100-foot buffer zone,
Correct.
Okay.
correct? So
Yeah,
it's a little bit different.
yeah, so I don't have a problem with him raising the grade in the case where it's not in the flood zone. We would not want him to bring in any more native, you know, a non-native fill for the subgrade than what's in, you know, what's, you know, necessary for the subgrade of his driveway. And, you know, and it should match what's taken out, I think, in this case, but, we don't need to mandate grades here.
No, I would be more concerned of impervious area increase and lack of infiltration along the side of
Yeah.
this. If you're replacing gravel with pavement, that's going to, you know, cause more sheet flow and less pervious area.
I mean,
About-
this is the same case that we were just talking about with the infiltration trench, where we're talking about sheet flow.
Well, that was removing and replacing a driveway rather than adding an entire section to it. That's just, I just wanted to clarify that, and that's my 2 cents right now. I'm not sure if anyone else has any comments.
Okay, I'm not sure, Wesley, to answer your question, I'm not sure whether this might be floodplain as well as bordering area, because, you know, this whole section of town is affected by the Black Brook. And when that backs up or can't flow, it's pretty flat out there.
Is that very well might be the case. I thought, just based on the area, that it wasn't. We should clarify that, though, for ourselves and for this application.
Yeah,
What
this-
does the application show?
The application does not
resource?
It does not describe it as in the flood zone, it only describes it in the wetlands, the buffer to the wetlands.
Okay.
I can take a look if you wanna give it.
Mr. Higgins, you haven't lived, you've lived there a while, have you?
For 29.5 years.
Okay, are you subject to flooding in the spring and fall, for instance?
No, we are not. In fact, I know on my homeowner's insurance, we are labeled as non-flood zone.
You're a non-flood zone, okay? All right, so, you know, there is a hole out there the size of an automobile, about 1 foot deep. So when you're talking about bringing in fill, what were you planning to put into that area that's been excavated, Mr. Higgins?
The area that they were going to be paving over, they were going to be hot topping and bring in gravel and pack to bring it up to grade.
Okay, and so do you expect that when you're done bringing in the gravel, you're going to be at the same elevation as you are at right now?
That's the intention, yes.
Okay, and then on top of that, you're planning to put 1.5 inches of a finish coat on the entire old and new driveway, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Just to clarify, on the existing driveway, are you gonna mill down like an inch and a half, 2 inches, and then put the new top coat on, or are you just gonna put the new top coat over what's already existing?
I believe he was just gonna put the top coat over what's existing.
Okay.
And we've confirmed it's not in the floodplain.
It's what?
It is not in the floodplain.
It's not floodplain, okay?
If I may, I
Go
just checked and it is not in the floodplain, according to our JS,
Okay, good,
just the buffer zone.
great, okay. So it apparently is not in the floodplain, which is a good thing, Mr. Higgins.
Okay,
Anybody
good things are
else?
good to hear.
Yeah, I would just, you know, say we want to see erosion control and just infiltration and kept in mind. I'm not sure how my other commissioners feel about that, but an infiltration trench along the edge, I think would be beneficial to your project. Just
I would agree that I would be looking for, at the minimum, a 3 foot by 3 foot stone trench wrapped in a textile woven fabric, the length of the driveway, anywhere that the sheet flow would come off the driveway and go down into the wetlands.
Okay,
What, is that during construction or permanent?
Permanent.
Okay, and you put that on the long side of the driveway or the street side?
It would be on the long side of the driveway, anywhere downhill of the driveway.
Wherever the pitch of the sheet flow is.
Yeah, sheet flow between the driveway and the wetlands.
yes, that would be along the wetland side.
The right side of the driveway.
Correct.
Okay, the wetland side, that's a good way to put it, the
Yeah.
wetland side.
Yeah.
Okay, so, did you understand that suggestion, Mr. Higgins?
Yep, I'm pretty sure I do. I've got a friend that's in the business, so yeah, I'm sure I can get him out to put that in for us.
Okay. Anybody over here have some, because we can put this is an RDA, we can put some requirements in there. We don't have to have just a
I have no
-3.
comments.
I think Brad could do the same motion that he did like the earlier.
I have one more question. You said something about a car-sized hole.
Well, I think Mr. Higgins said he'd taken out some rocks and trees.
And so, yeah, so we had some dead trees fall and break up our fence, so we had the fence taken down, and they just had the dead trees removed. And they just kind of smoothed out the area when they were doing that.
Okay, so you lost some of the fill that was inside of the fence to, it kind of moved outside the fence once the trees were gone? From the photo that I'm looking
I
at?
mean, I don't think that there's been any runoff to cause it. I think it was more just the grade where there's stone next to our driveway, and that kind of filled in above it. It's pretty much, that's at the level that it had always previously been. It's just clean, that's all.
I get what you're saying. The reason that I'm getting into this is because typically a flat grade would be the ideal installation of an infiltration trench, but in this case, we're talking about trying to install gravel on a slope. So you're gonna have to make sure that it stabilizes itself in some way, and it may not be possible if you're on too steep of a grade. So
Yeah, the area, again, we're not going all the way out we're not covering the area that she saw completely with the driveway. It's gonna come up probably, I'd say, 8 to 10 feet short of where that edge was. So there would be plenty of flat ground to put that trench in.
okay, I'm happy.
Okay, so it sounds like the two things that we're concerned about are an infiltration area along the wetland side, along the edge of the driveway, and some erosion control along that side as well until the construction is finished. Is that it, or is there something else that we want to add in there?
I
Okay.
can make a motion to grant a -3 determination with two conditions: that straw wattles are installed prior to construction until the site is stabilized, downhill of any work being done, and that a you know, stone trench. I should probably provide a short description of the fabric wrapped 3x3 stone trench anywhere between the driveway and the wetlands.
Okay.
Okay, so motion's been made. Somebody like to second that?
I'll second it.
Bill second it. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
One, two, three. Or opposed? Unanimous. Okay, Mr. Higgins, we've voted to let you go ahead with your driveway with those 2 additions to your plan. And you'll be getting a document from the office, the Conservation Office, which you can take when you go down to get your permit for the paving.
Okay, thank you very much.
Questions? Okay, I
All right.
guess,
Thank you.
okay, thanks for coming in, and good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Okay, we have other business. We have some minutes from June 4th. Are we ready to discuss minutes, or do we want to put those off?
I've looked at the minutes and the video footage from the last meeting, and I don't have any comments. I think they align with one another. So I'd be willing to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of June 9th meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Other business, I just wanted to bring up, this is our first meeting back in the chambers. We did seem to have the people we needed join us here. I wanted to elicit any comments from the board, because my understanding is that we have been given permission to meet remotely, at least by the state. I don't know about the city, to meet remotely for about another year if we so wanted to, till June 2022. Is that correct, Fran?
I hadn't heard June timeline, but it has been extended for quite a bit. I heard April, but maybe it was June.
I know it's into 2022.
Yes.
I know that for a fact, and I thought it was June, because the other one just expired in June, so I think they were trying to continue it. I just wonder what people's feelings were about that. I know it's kind of a novelty at this point, but when winter comes around, it might be nice to Zoom.
I agree, and I will say, coming back here and seeing all the information technology upgrades, you know, I think is good. I don't know, people have been reading the Globe lately. They've been talking a lot about, you know, open meetings and trying to, you know, continue some of these practices that put in place since the pandemic, and I think it's a great way to encourage additional public participation. That being said, as a commission member, I appreciate the flexibility to be able to be participating and running these meetings via Zoom, so I'd be open to being flexible with that as well.
Yeah, it does allow flexibility for us to meet remotely, so I would just say ahead of time, if we could just get that guidance for a particular meeting ahead of time, then we can just, the commissioners could opt to be remote, and that would be fine, but I think we would still allow members of the public to come in to be consistent, because we've shifted now we've opened it up for both in-person and remote, so it would be hard to walk back and say, oh, this meeting is actually just gonna be remote. Does that make sense?
So are you proposing like a hybrid,
Yeah, because this is hybrid now, so we would just continue making it hybrid, and if it was a snowy night that night, then you as a commission, this legislation would allow you to Zoom in. So the entire commission with this legislation could be remote, but the meeting would be set up the same way as tonight's meeting. So if someone might from the public come in, which would be a little weird, but
No, I think that's fine. The other thing I would think too is, I mean, I haven't worked in Boston I've been working remotely for a year, but eventually I'll be going back to Boston, and I think there are times when, you know, for whatever reason, maybe getting to here for 7 o'clock might be problematic, but getting to home to jump in on Zoom might be easier. So that, to me, you know, provides a benefit, you know, especially if we want to make sure we maintain a quorum in the meeting and not have to kind of cancel the meeting because of lack of a quorum. So I'm fine with that.
Perhaps we could, I think we have only one meeting in July and one meeting in August, if I recall. So perhaps at the August meeting, we could discuss this again. If you like, we'll try meeting this way for a while, and I don't know if anyone's still a student or things start up in any other way in the fall for people, but perhaps we'll feel differently about it then, and maybe want to Zoom at that time, but probably this summer, we can, what do you think about that?
Well, I think all we're saying is that we're leaving it open to the circumstance, right?
The what?
We can either be here or not, I think is all we're saying, right?
We can
It's a
either be
hybrid.
here or not.
It's the hybrid system that we're doing right now.
Like if Bill decided to just call in, I would just see his face on this thing now. And then Bill would be here,
Right.
right? So I think it's,
Okay, we'd have
Each
to
their
be
own.
careful to count and make sure we maintain that quorum, no going out for dinner in the middle of the meeting.
Decorum.
So one thing I also wanted to note, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you, Louise, on the phone when we talked about the hybrid meetings, is that this flexibility is granted because of the emergency order that got extended, but under normal circumstances, members can Zoom in or call in, but a quorum needs to be present in person. So once it expires eventually, unless they just permanently change the laws, a quorum would need to be present, and then 1 or 2 members could Zoom in.
Now, when you say a quorum has to be present in person, is that a regulation or is that an expectation?
That's a regulation, that's the law.
And
That's the
whose
open meeting law.
regulation is that?
The open meeting law?
A quorum is defined by
Okay.
in-person attendance.
So if we're not meeting at all in person, we can have our quorum online.
Yes, so during the extension of the emergency order.
Until the emergency.
Until the
expires.
emergency order is open, none of you actually need to be here. And so if you choose to Zoom in, if it's snowing or what have you, you can't, you're running
But right
late.
now, it has a sunset of next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, so after that, we can tackle what, but we have to follow the laws, obviously,
But
so.
very frequently, we don't have more than 4 members at a time. This is unusual that, you know.
Well, I haven't seen anyone in so long. It's
I
nice to
know.
see everyone.
Okay, we're obviously not going to come to any conclusion on this tonight, so,
well,
Other question?
I don't think there's a conclusion to come to. I think it's just hybrid or not.
Yeah.
You can come here or not, depending on your day.
yeah, but if not enough of us come here,
No,
we
that's-
won't have a meeting.
That's
Yeah,
After the
Yeah,
emergency.
it doesn't matter for now.
For now,
So
we're
now
good
we
for
don't
now.
have
We
to
do the
worry about
hybrid
it.
for the year.
You could come, you don't have to come. You can if you want.
Oh, I
For the
thought you were
next year.
telling us we had to have 4 here right now.
Nope, only after the emergency
After
order
the
is
emergency.
expired. Yep.
Okay.
The only
All
other
right.
question I had, Fran, is, you know, up until now, we've been having the city's representatives sign for us on documents. What's the protocol going forward? I mean, you know, even if we're doing the hybrid, is the expectation, I don't want you folks to have to be chasing down signatures if you have to.
Sure, yeah, so, if everyone is present at a meeting, then we would, so like, for example, tonight,
Yep.
we would have you just sign that, we're prepared to have
Yep.
you sign everything tonight. In the future, if not everyone is present, and if it's hybrid, even if one person is hybrid, I think, well, I know that we're still empowered to have the staff sign on their behalf, so if at least one person is not here, then we'll just plan to do that. But since you guys are all here, we'll
Yeah.
just have you sign it.
Okay.
But that, the legislation that allows us the flexibility to have staff sign on your behalf is still valid, so if people aren't here, then we can sign on your behalf.
Okay.
I think I'd like to see us signing things if we're gonna be meeting in person. I think we should sign them ourselves. There's no reason not to.
Absolutely, yes.
So, I mean, we had a number of things tonight. You didn't bring the papers, probably.
No, they do.
Oh, you have?
Yes, I have
Okay,
them
so we're
here.
gonna have a signing session now?
Yes.
Well, we have to
Oh,
close the
great.
meeting first unless there's
Yes.
any other new business.
Who's got more business?
My shameless plug of the meeting, this weekend for the Lowell Litter Crew, we're going to be up in Pawtucketville at the edge of the Beaver Brook on the at the end of Alma Street, rebuilding a walking path from Beaver Brook Bridge or Beaver Street Bridge down along behind Lafayette and Alma. And that will be 9 to noon on Saturday. And Sunday, we're going to be helping the city and Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust to clean up the area that it will be a new rail trail between the back of the Target parking lot and the rotary at Industrial Ave. So there's a ton of old paint cans, and it's an awesome graffiti area underneath the bridge. Really, we need a lot of hands for that one on Sunday. So that will be 9 to noon as well.
Brad, is that final stretch of the Bruce Freeman Trail?
It is, yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Sounds like fun.
Will be.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn,
I'll offer a motion to adjourn.
seconded by?
I'll second Bill's motion.
Seconded by Kevin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, and good night.